Hey guys, this is Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty. You've probably heard this before, is that we're currently technologically getting deluged with information. And I see more and more of our rookie investor clients that are struggling to make their first purchase because of overanalysis paralysis, because there's so much information out there. What I've always recommended is that you find those specific sources of background information that are going to help you make a decision. So for me personally, from a news standpoint, I don't watch any American news because it's just way too sensationalist. I focus on local news from the Windsor Star. I get my national news from the CBC. I get my international news from the BBC. And I get my economic news from the Economist magazine, which is a global perspective. But I also go to two economists. I go to the CIBC chief economist, Benjamin Tell, and I go to the chief economist at RBC. And the reason I go to them, and you might have heard this in a previous video, is because they have access to more data than anybody else, right? Think about how they can detect trends just in their customer base, because they can see how much debt we have on our credit cards, how quickly it takes us to pay that debt back. Are we behind on our mortgages? What's the interest rate on our mortgages? What do those mortgages do? They have a bigger body of data to work with than, say, the chief economist at Laurentian Bank, who often is quoted. Ignore that. He's at a tiny little institution. He does not have the same data that Benjamin Tell and the chief at CIBC and the chief economists at RBC have. So what you do is you look at them, and there was a funny headline, funny to me because I'm a goof, but this is the headline. CIBC's Benjamin Tell was one of the few to correctly predict the Bank of Canada's rate move so far this year. Of course, because he has access to more data than pretty much anybody else than in Canada. So he should be one of the few that's accurate. So when I'm talking about overanalysis paralysis, guys, get off the people on Twitter and Instagram, etc., that are sensationalizing things and are sort of going into politics instead of focusing on real estate investment. Like, all you need is what's the news in 15 minutes a day, local, national, foreign. And then what are the economists saying? So that's the Economist magazine, which is a global publication. And then I would choose CIBC and RBC to understand where things are going. And that's it. And then from there, you make your educated investment decisions accordingly. So what Benjamin Tell is saying now is that our current interest rate is about 5%. And he sees that rate at 2.75 to 3% by the end of 2025. Great. The other thing, though, he's seeing, and the chief economists at RBC are saying the same thing, is that RBC is also seeing a 2% rate cut, right, over the next same amount of time between 2024 and 2025. So in the next year and a half, the top two banks that should be the most reliable for predictors from their chief economists are predicting the Bank of Canada is going to reduce interest rates by about 2 to 2.25% between now, which is the middle of 2024, to the end of 2025. So in the next 18 months. That's substantial, guys. And it's because we have inflation under control in Canada. The only place that we're not going to have control of it, and I'm going to get into this in a second, is in the housing market. And both RBC and CIBC are predicting the same thing, that with those interest rate cuts, you're going to see people really go after real estate again. They're all holding back right now. You know who you are. You're all holding back, waiting for those interest rate drops. And it's so significant that even the economists bring it up in their reports. That's how significant the holdback and the wait is from the average consumer that wants to buy a home. Everybody's waiting. We see it observationally and we hear it all the time, but it's a national, I'm going to call it problem. And the problem is that you're going to see, so for 2024, this is the national average. 2024, RBC believes prices will be up 9.2% this year on the average. So, hotter cities like Windsor and Toronto, etc., you're going to see 15, 20%, right? And get this, 2025, they're predicting the average home is going to go up 16.1%. And Benjamin Tal is using similar numbers. If you're an investor, I've got a simple question for you. Do you want to buy now and get 10% gains this year and 16% gains next year? And that's, again, national average. Do you want to get those gains now, or do you want to keep sitting on the fence and making excuses? And do I sound harsh? Sort of. But at the same time, I am shocked how many people still don't listen to what I'm saying, because it's not me as a real estate agent saying this. It's the top economists in Canada that have access to more data than anybody. They're literally spilling this out for you as an investor. And you guys are getting confused with, some guy on Chicken Little on YouTube that's saying the sky's falling. Chicken Little on YouTube does not have access to this data and isn't sober in their reasoning. These guys have got jobs, and their job is to give you sober predictions and justifications and measurements why. It's all very boring. They're economists. What do you expect? Yes, it's not entertaining like the guys on social media. And I try to be more of a teacher, guys, so that you can make wealth from investing in real estate. So my advice to you guys is that if you've been waiting because you want to save $1,000 a year on your mortgage, with a rate drop, you're missing out on those property gains, which are going to be way bigger than what you would be paying as an interest differential. Plus, and it's Stephanie Saunders on our team, Stephanie Alstead now on our team, is probably the most vocal about this, but the whole team knows this. They're like, we're pleading with investors to invest now. Stop waiting on the fence. And residential buyers too. We're like, guys, you got to get buying now, right? I hope this helps. I'm Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard Team at Manor Realty. Have a great long weekend.